Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for coming out to my fourth podcast. If you've watched all of them up to this point, today I have Miss Camille with me. How are you doing today?
Doing okay.
Well, to get things started off, I guess I'd like you to just introduce yourself and kind of tell us what you do.
Hi everyone. I'm Camille Seawright. I wrote a book on Marcellus and Marcella's first adventure. I'm a new author. I also work in behavior as a behavior technician, and I have a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in education, and a certification in applied behavior.
Where did you get your degrees
North Central
from?
University and Phoenix University. Um, yeah, and Capella University.
Capella University. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's a very interesting background. I know a lot of people don't usually go into a harder field like that. I mean, psychology is one thing, but you know, dealing with smaller children other than that is a bit harder.
Um, no, I have a love for children, so it's not as hard for me. Psychology, I really wanted to understand the brain and how it works. Education is because I have a love for teaching children, not just on the spectrum, but children as a whole, on to elevate their minds. And applied behavior is also because I have a love for children on the spectrum too, as well.
Okay. Yeah, I figure it would be kind of more of a thing to get into for the passion, something like almost a teacher.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I mean, if you don't love the kids, why would you get into it?
Well, some some teachers and people get into it, and they think it's easy, but I think somewhere along the line they find that some things are hard and challenging, and it makes them think twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long time to get those degrees too.
Yes, I've been in
So to
school
make a
forever.
mistake
Yeah,
would be hard.
yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, well, can I ask what inspired you to write a book about the first VIN strategy in ABA?
Well, honestly, I was off of work because a client was on vacation, and unfortunately, for behavior technicians, sometimes when they are on vacation, the parents are on vacation. Um, we can't work, so it's not you don't get paid. Um, Not to say anything bad about it, but when you have bills to pay, the frustration is terrible. But I love what I do. So instead of being negative and getting upset and depressed, I didn't do that. I believe God woke me up at 3 a.m. and told me to start writing. I had some challenges with my client at the time, and I worked really hard in trying to find a way to reach him so he can get the programs that were required. So it took me 2 weeks, and literally I had every word that I needed in order to make this happen.
So is Marcellus like your first venture into writing?
Yes.
Okay.
Marcellus and Marcella's first adventure is very close and dear to me. Mainly because they are two pups that that are having challenges but able to push through, and they can get it as long as it's not huge. If you do it smaller, they're able to understand it better.
hmm So is was the intention with this book to be like a kind of like a passion project for you, or more of like just like a fun story, or more like to help truly like kids and things like that?
Well, I think more than anything, it is to not just help kids on the spectrum, but everybody. I mean, all children, because sometimes I think as parents and teachers, we're like, okay, you have to do it this way, and you have to do it this way, and some kids don't learn that way. You know, what is challenging for kids on the spectrum, they don't learn the same way as everybody else. Sometimes you have to break it down smaller for them to be able to understand what it is that they need to do. Like, you're trying to give them a list of chores to do, and they're not able to do it because you made it too big. So if you break it down smaller, then they're like, oh, okay, this is what you want. But once they got it, they got it.
Mhm. And just to clarify, when we say spectrum and all that, we mean autism, right?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, what what material did you have to read for your stuff when you got your certificates? Do you remember? What?
You mean in school? What?
Yeah, like in school when you were
uh,
studying.
well, oh my goodness, there was a lot to learn.
I'm sure.
But not to give a lot of technical things. I think um what was most inspiring in school for me is they gave scenarios of situations that will occur. And at first, because when I was going to school, I was like, I was actually working in the field already.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nope, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. But some of what I learned, I want to say, it helped a lot. One of the things that I learned is pre-med, which is what I used in my book, and it teaches you to do you do this first, and then you do this, and it's not really you bribing them, but more so of them understanding, okay, I have to do this first, and then I can do that. So that was one of the things that I took away. But I mean, I took a lot of things away from school, but I realized when it's a real life situation, sometimes the book information is not, it's just the foundation.
Right.
It is not what is going to be the know all do all for everything. It's going to be just your foundation of getting you started.
Right. 'Cause it's one thing to like read the words on the page and be like, oh, anxious, I know what that is. But when you're actually experiencing someone anxious or experiencing someone, acting in a different way, you have to be able to understand what's happening.
That's correct. That is for sure. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you explain what the first thin is and why it's so effective for children on the spectrum? We kind of just talked about it, but
Yeah.
can you go more in depth?
Well, it's okay. So, for example, let's say you in the book it talks about doing your chores, and for example, washing your hands before you eat dinner. And so it's simple. It's simple and easy to us, but for them, it's breaking it down so they understand. Okay, yeah, I got to do this first, and then if you're rewarding them as they go, like for example, they wash their hands and you go, yay! And they're like, oh, I did something right. And then you give them whatever it is that they did that they want, or either something they want, or getting them to be more motivated to go to dinner. Okay, I did something good. Let me go to dinner, and let's see what happens there. And so, unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, I want to say fortunately, they learn, things in small, real small. Not, don't give them too much. You put too much on their plate and they're just like, nope. That's like a baby. Yes. And you know how like a baby, and you put too much on the plate, they're like, no, I don't want it, because it's too much, and they can't digest it correctly.
Mm-hmm. Is there, so you mentioned like washing your hands, get food. Is there like an atypical kind of reward, like a reward that isn't like standard for the first win kind of thing?
Um, I guess what we could, okay, an example. Okay, all right. So let's say they want to go outside,
Mm-hmm.
right? So first they have to clean up their room,
Mm-hmm.
which is in the book. It talks about doing your chores and cleaning it up. And sometimes, you know how, you may not, but for kids as a whole, if you make it fun for them, they're more willing to want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reward, it could be you clapping or shouting, yay. And sometimes it could be candy. You could use candy or chips or, some sort of, food. However, you know, being an ABA as a whole, they try not to use too much food as something to reward the kids.
Mm-hmm.
More so, it's better if you can do something different, that they all always think, oh, well, it's food. Let me, I'm gonna always get this reward or
Right.
this, whatever. So we have to do other things to reward them. It could be a star, it could be a sticker, it could be a multitude of
Is
things.
that why they did that in kindergarten?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's an easy way to get kids to be like, oh, I get a sticker.
I'm a good noodle.
Yes, yes, yes.
What ages are the kids you usually deal with or have dealt with?
Between 3 and 12.
Interesting. Interesting. How do you decide what goes in the first and what goes in the thing?
Okay, so let's look at it like this. It's a task, right?
Right.
And so first would be to complete it, right? And then would be the motivation.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to explain. You need more detail?
If you can give some.
Okay. So, like I was saying, first is to complete the task.
Right.
So that means if you tell them to go wash their hands,
Mm-hmm.
when they start the task, they have to complete the task, right?
Yeah.
So the start from finish. So you get the soap, you put it under the water, and then you cut the water off. Well, you cut it on, put it under the water, the soap, and then you cut the water off, and then you dry your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And the motivation prior to that after that will be the reward of what they'll get after. So whether it's a sticker or
We might
a
have
star.
just covered this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. So what advantages have you observed for children who consistently use the first thing?
I guess the advantages with this is mostly because I'm gonna say it's easier,
Mm-hmm.
and I break it down enough where they understand.
Okay. Yeah. So break it down. How would you tell, I guess, someone who's new to the field to begin, like,
Well,
with the process?
when you're new to the field, it's always good to pair with the child. So find out what they like to play with, and play with them and make it fun. So they'll be like, when they see you again, oh, it's Miss Camille, or oh, it's Mayo, yay, But if you don't make it fun and you pair with them, they are not going to listen to you.
Yeah, I mean, no one likes a miserable teacher or a miserable like boss or
Yeah, no.
Okay, what are common mistakes for parents or teachers when they start first using this technique?
I guess the most common thing is that they're wanting them to do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with kids on the spectrum, it takes time and you have to be patient. If you're not patient with them, it gets them frustrated, and then you start seeing behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and then you seeing the behaviors. It could be any type of behavior that may occur because depending on how much pressure you put on them, so
Okay.
you have to be patient.
What are some of the most common behaviors that happen when they're, you know, don't get what they want, or like they don't do the system right?
Oh, it's not a common behavior. It could be anything. It could be head banging. It could be um stimming, which is like it could be anything. Like you could be stimming with your hands and putting them in your face. It could be I don't know, anything you can think of that it could be a spitting behavior. It could be a multitude of behaviors that can cause them when you put too much pressure on them. And it causes them to feel like you're not listening,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not listening to them and you're making it hard for them and it shouldn't be so hard.
Okay. So I mean, the behavior is a case by case basis, but you need to listen to them.
Yeah. Well, and then if you get a kid that's nonverbal, you kind of have to. That's why it's important for you to pair with them so you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, when I was pairing with children, depending on what case it was, I felt that pairing with them helped a lot because then if something wasn't okay with them, I immediately knew. And I was always ready to be okay. Let's try this again. Let's go back. Let's try it again, or either they have to take a break and then retry it again.
Okay. I'm not sure if you know this, but do you know like how young therapists can like accept like their
Um,
age, the youngest age they can?
well, um, at 2 years old, if you go to a neurologist and get diagnosed, a lot of parents do not know that if they notice something different with their child by 2, they can go to a neurologist and they can diagnose and then they could get help with ABA.
Okay. So I was thinking how a parent or somebody might put their younger child or like young teen into therapy instead of maybe they need ABA instead, and how like that might affect their process.
Well, the older they are, um, it's not hard. I don't want to say it's hard, but they've already developed, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but we don't give up on them either. We always want the best for everybody. And so, but you will find that it's more challenging for teenagers than it is for younger. Because the younger you get them, the more effective ABA can be for them.
I mean, an earlier stage of life, I assume they're a little more malleable, a little more open.
Yeah, that is true.
Uh, can the first then be used for both academic and daily living routines?
Yes. Living routines would be like I was saying in First Then Adventure. It talks about doing your chores first.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it also talks about um, you know, before you can do the chores, you can go you after you finish your chores, then you can go outside. So
Mm-hmm.
this, but it also academically it teaches them, okay, we have to do this first, and then we can have that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we've been talking about that.
Yes.
So, how does it help with the motivation and reducing challenging behaviors?
It is structure and motivation, and it causes you to have, well, it causes them to have less stress.
Mm-hmm.
and they're not stressed out, which causes more behavior.
Okay. It's like a humane way of helping correct their behavior, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Can the first then be adapted for older children or even adults on the spectrum?
I think so. Because I broke it down so it could be relatable for everybody.
Okay, you broke it down. What about other people that are in the same field? Are they also like breaking it down like you? Is there like a thing?
Well, everybody's not me.
That's right.
However, I think as a whole with ABA, and the reason why I got into ABA is because this is what they do. And just to tap back on that, one of the other reasons why I got into ABA, well, the reason why I got in ABA is because there was a situation in New York years ago, and a man was walking and he had headphones on, and I think he was in his 30s, and he was either in his 20s or 30s. I'm not sure, and not remembering. But what I found in the news report is they ended up attacking him, the police, and the police said, "Hold your hands up," and he was nonverbal, and so he didn't know to respond, and so they ended up killing him. And it was so sad. And when I first saw the report, I didn't know about autism at the time. I just was looking at the news report. But later, when I read about it, it was so detailed about how he was autistic and he was the wrong person. But because he was not able to respond the way the police needed him to respond, it that was devastating to me because I was like, oh my God, they need help. Someone has to help them. And then I started learning more about where a lot of people back then, it wasn't as known as it is now. And so now it's more known, but I'm still very passionate about it because I don't think there's so many things that they need to change and, make it better,
Mhm.
you know?
Right. And I think a lot about like it's about as much as like spreading information and awareness as it is getting people to actually like be those physicians, be the specialists. Because not everybody can be like an ABA specialist, go and do the job. They need people for that too, as much as people themselves need to know what they're dealing with. They don't need to like, obviously be the expert, but they have to try and put effort to do what's best for the child.
Yes, I agree. And another thing is, I think people don't take this as serious as they should because it's the reason why it's important for everybody to know and why everybody should help is because these people, these children as a whole is in your community. They could be your nephew, your niece. It could be somebody that's a close friend. And then, as, as a whole, I think what's even more important is that they grow up. And when they grow up, that could be your doctor, that could be your lawyer, that could be, um, it, anything that's out here. It's important that we put as much into them and pour as much as we can into them to make them successful.
Right. Let me ask, how much do you think money plays a part in most people getting help or treatment or anything like
I think it plays a huge part because ABA as a whole is kind of expensive, and I think here recently they have made it convenient and they opened the door for people that have low income. but it's still very expensive, and you may be in a situation where you may can do it a couple of days and then you may have to stop, which is very unfortunate because with ABA you need to have it
It's a
constantly.
pattern.
Yeah, yeah, it's very important.
Are there creative ways to make the then motivating without relying on the food or toys? I kind of touched kind of like on
Yeah,
atypical earlier.
yeah, but like stars, for example, that's motivation, and we
Mm-hmm.
usually do it where it's like not a whole lot of stars. So let's say we want you to clap your hands, and we'll have you do 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to get 5 stars, you would have to clap your hands, say clap your hands, stump your feet, stand up, sit down, and maybe turn around, But if you get all 5 stars, then you get whatever is required at the end.
Sounds like playing Simon Says.
Almost, yeah. Yes.
Looking back, what surprised you the most about how effective the then now can be?
Um, I guess what was amazing is that it lessened the behavior
Mm-hmm.
and not in a situation where it was overwhelming for the child, and they weren't stressed out. They were more willing to do what was required.
So, do you know any other like disorders or kind of afflictions that child could have related to autism?
Yes. Well, it's not really. They have to have autism for
Right.
sure. But they could have autism plus ADHD or autism and Asperger's or autism and Down syndrome, but they have to have autism.
Okay. So your specific field it has to have at least that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I don't really have much more. If you have anything you want to ask me or anything you want to add,
Just promote my book.
I got you. You make sure to send me your links.
Okay. This is Marcellus and Marcella's First in Adventure. Everyone, buy! It's amazing. You will love it.
I got one for a coworker. They said they loved it. So there's a review.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to this. I'm not sure how long podcast right now. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Everything came out right. Hopefully nobody was insensitive or said anything wrong. Thank you for coming, and that's it.